Look who's back. Welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you on this Monday night. Time for another edition of the Joe Quills Show. And a lot to talk about tonight because I was out of commission for a couple days last week. Um, actually, 3 days. Um, I had some things there. I'll get to that in a minute. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about sports wise. Um, Yeah, we're going to talk about all different things. Um, as you can see there on the bottom of the scroll there. Hopefully, we'll get to all of them. And that's why I put on the scroll and I put on the YouTube notes planned for tonight because, things happen and things don't go as planned. So, um, things happen. So hopefully I'll get to all those stories tonight. And was itching to go since Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon when I decided to cancel the Thursday night show. But I'm back and I'm ready to go, and I'll tell you what happened in a moment. And we are back on X, aka Twitter. Everybody the on Elon's channel, welcome aboard. Welcome to those on Twitch and those on YouTube. Got a lot to talk about here, as you can tell. Going to catch up on some things. NBC pissed off NASCAR fans. Get to that. LeBron's going to parade with the U.S. flag in the opening ceremony on Friday in France, aka France. Um, James Paxton got DFA'd. That was a bit of a surprise. Whit Merrifield signed with the Braves, and something funny happened along the way. Not funny, haha, but funny, strange because the way the Braves have been jinxed this year. The backdrop of Wrigley Field is going to be changing. I'll tell you about that. That's a Bleacher Brothers story that I pulled today, and we may still have NBA on TNT. We'll get into that as well. So hope everybody's having a great night out there. Me personally, I'm recovering, and but I'm back and I'm ready to go here on this Monday night. Um, I'll tell you what, toothaches are no fun whatsoever, especially when they go deep into the root like mine did. Um, so, the one thing I'm going to tell you guys, and if you're new to the stream, first of all, welcome aboard. Second, um, I'm going to tell you I am why I cancel sometimes so quickly and sometimes in advance like I do, and sometimes it's last minute. In this case, um, the toothache that I had, it started up late Wednesday night. Wednesday was my off day, or my off day from streaming. It was also my off day from work. We just didn't go to the Pennypack Music Festival, because one, it's Irish night. My buddy's not a fan of that type of music, even though I think it's a combination of everything that has anything to do with Irish, but whatever. But the show got canceled anyway, from what I saw on Facebook. So, um, so I ended up doing my thing. I wrote my article. I did everything. I was even watching streams and doing things and catching up on podcasts. And that leads to the Sunday, the reel I posted on Sunday, which I'll get to. So I started to feel a toothache coming on, and it was low grade. I'm like, all right, well, it's just low grade. Maybe it's just something where, you know how sometimes when you brush your teeth, when you're starting to get the wisdom teeth problem, and I had all my wisdom teeth pulled, or destroyed, I should say, because I was awake for it years ago for the last three. But um, they So it was low grade. I'm like, well, maybe if I brush my teeth a little more, maybe the pain will go away short term. I can get 5, 6 hours sleep. So, um, so I went to bed. I didn't go to bed till like 3 o'clock. Some nights it's later than others, but it's never before 1 o'clock because I'm always working on different things. And so went to bed around 3. Woke up. My right side of my face is pounding, and I thought I got sucker punched. And when I lock my door at night, yeah, it's like trying to break into Fort Knox. Um, but you know, I really was not feeling that great with that. And I have two Google Homes in my apartment. And I'm making sure I didn't set it off. Good, I did. So I have one in the living room, and I have one in the bedroom. And the way that I use it for the most part is, you know, little quotes, little this, little that, play Spotify through it when I'm doing things around the apartment, like if I'm doing stuff in the bedroom. No, not those things. Uh, and not these things either. Uh, but some of the things that I do, you know, like I'll play Spotify through it, and if I'm cleaning up in the bedroom or trying to put clothes away, I'll pop on Spotify and link it up to the Google Home. So one of the things that I do, and um, if if my buddy Mike was on, he would know about people always wanting to know what time it is. And I have gone 21st century with this stuff. And the one thing I do when I wake up when I don't want to be up, I go, hey, Google, and I'm purposely spelling it because I don't want to uh, set off my device here. So I say, what time is it? And sometimes I'll get the time and say, oh, if you also want to do this, blah, blah, because every once in a while I'll give you a reminder. Oh, it's 5:15 a.m. I'm like, what the? So, um, so I ended up eventually going back to sleep after a little bit, but my mouth was pounding. I probably should have went to the dentist on Thursday, but I was like, "Man, let me try to get through the day. I can try to minimize the days off because I knew that I wasn't going to survive the weekend. So work Thursday. I'm like, my mouth hurts too much, and talking 8 hours with my job, and then on top of that, um, bank welcome in. Just saw that. I apologize. Um, I had a, um, you know, I, I didn't. I had it still set up to the banners. If you saw if you saw what I used to stream, you would know what I mean. But um, so my mouth was hurting, and already talking 8 hours a day, I'm like, there's no way I want to talk for another hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And also with these streams just being stuff that I do on my own and not, I mean, even though I am Bleacher Brothers, um, it's not it's not on the Bleacher Brothers platforms. It's on my platforms. I decided I'm gonna cancel it early. I canceled it middle of the day, I think. I just said, dude, no stream. I'll be back on Saturday, whatever. And Saturday's also eligible. The show did not happen, and that pissed me off because it was Haskell Day, and I had, I can imagine what that show would have been like because I know that AJ, our leader, our CEO, our president, our whatever title you want to give him, I can imagine he was sitting there. I can imagine him sitting there because he was going to be on the show Saturday. He was going to drop that knock knock drop that he has because the horse Dornock was running who won the Belmont and he did win the Haskell. So I didn't get to do the show on Saturday. And it leads me to the first point that I have is especially for those that are watching for the first time and you say, well, Joe, come on, man. You said that you are here every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, YouTube, and X. And one of the updates I have is Wednesdays will be added soon. But the thing is, I do have a job, and the last thing I want to do is having to explain to HR or whoever would take it, ethics, whatever, you know. I don't want to have to deal with, well, you were sick, but you still did your stream. If you're sick, you shouldn't be doing that stuff too. So, and because I've been with my company for 25 years now, yes, I'm an old fart. Well, not that old of a fart, but an old enough of a fart, I should say. Um, I decided, and this is rule number one. This is rule number three, or rule number two. We don't talk politics. We don't talk religion. We don't talk about work. And this isn't really talking about work, so I'm not really violating that rule, but this is rule number four. And some people already know this. If I'm out sick from work, automatically no stream because I have too much time invested. Um, I have too much stuff. Um, and by the way, the Phillies game did just start, and Bryce Harper already went yard. So 2-0 Phillies, top of the first in Minnesota. But anyways, um, so I need to protect my benefits, the stuff, the pension and everything else that I have at my job. I got to protect all that stuff. So, you know, and I can imagine if my parents were still alive, how the hell did you get fired because of this, this, and that? How the hell did you get fired? Well, they saw that I did a stream while I was sick and blah, blah, blah. Well, like I said with Trevor Bauer, you know, even though people say, oh, he deserves to be back in baseball, he should be back, he paid his penance, whatever. That's not about Trevor Bauer. And I've said it about other people as well. The one thing I will tell you, no matter what, is just don't put yourself in that position. And in my case, I'm not putting myself in that position to lose my pension and everything else, my benefits, my medical, all that stuff, because somebody sees me streaming and says, well, Joe called out sick, but he still has time to do this. So what's the best way to not get yourself into trouble? There's always another day to stream. And I did not do anything Thursday night, even though I worked on Thursday because I was hoping that things weren't going to be as bad as they were. Well, trivially speaking, because, you know, there are people that have much worse going for them right now. But in my case, you know, I rarely call out of work. And even though I do have new managers I report to, well, relatively new, um, I don't call days off. And I think that I have created enough of a record with everything that I do within the office in terms of attendance that if Joe calls out sick, he's sick, or there's something seriously wrong that he doesn't show up or logs in since I'm working from home. And it's even harder to call out sick when you're working from home. So Friday morning, I called the dentist And I said, "Hi, it's Joe, blah, blah, blah." And some girl I never saw before in the office would answered the phone. Uh, but I said, "Hey, I have an appointment for tomorrow for a teeth cleaning and whatever else you had planned. Can I come in today? Because I have a major toothache." And I think I stressed the major just like I did to you there. So I was like, I got a bad toothache. Can you get me in? Because, he does do emergency work like that. And I wasn't calling at 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm trying to find a way to sleep for even a couple of hours just so I can get a couple hours and then, you know, take a couple aspirin and then go sleep for a couple more hours. So I wasn't doing that. So I ended up, they said, oh, I called about 9. They said, oh, can you get here at 10:15? I'm like, I'm right around the corner. I mean, not exactly like that, but since it's a girl that I considered new that I had never seen before, I said, "Oh, I'm right around the corner, no problem." Blah blah blah. So I get there at 10:15. So they take me right back and blah blah blah, and take X-rays, and the one assistant, whatever her title is, I said, "Hey, just let you know, I started Googling stuff while I was working yesterday, and unlike other people, I'm not going to say, I think I have this or this. I look just to say, all right, let me get prepared. And if it happens, it happens." Um, so the roots went bad. That's what caused all the toothache problems I had, and had to have an emergency root canal. Emergency. Because, all relatively speaking, but because I talk minimum 8 hours a day with my job and another hour and a half to 2 years with you guys, it's like, oh God. So I got to the point where the assistant is there, the dentist didn't come in to do his work. I'm like, I told her because I'm not trying to be rude. You know, we just put your phone back over on the chair a couple of minutes ago. Why'd you grab it? I said, forgive me. I'm trying to find this one coworker's number uh, because I'm going to text her. Hey, probably not coming in at the dentist emergency appointment. Blah blah blah. So they did a full root canal, and Friday, of course, was the day that the crowdsource, whatever it's called, that happened, and everything Windows went down. So it seemed. My one buddy goes, "You have any problems with your computer?" I'm like, "No, but I have problems with my mouth right now." Uh, and then the person I was trying to find the number for, because I don't know. I thought I had last talked to her last November, and I only text certain people, but I had to. Um, she's like, "Are you okay? Is your computer okay?" Blah blah blah. It's like, the computer's okay, but I'm not. Just letting you know, I had an emergency appointment here. They were doing work, so I couldn't get a hold of you. So I had to call a manager that's on duty, that's on call, because the manager I report to was on vacation. So I missed 2 days of work. So because I missed 2 days of work, I made sure I'm not um, giving my employer a chance to fire me because, oh, he can't work, but he can actually do a stream. And trust me, when you have a major toothache, you don't want to do anything talking wise. So I missed 2 days of work, did not write an article for 2 days, and I was pissed because it was Monmouth Day. We AJ was going to be back. We were going to talk to Haskell and who knows what other races. I didn't even prepare for it. I was just like, screw it. And also with the fact that um, with everything going on and me having a hard time sleeping for 2, 3 nights, I just basically, I mean, even Monmouth Park has a thing called the Haskell game where it's a uh, day long handicapping contest where it's $2 win place bet shows, win place and show bets, and whoever accumulates the highest bankroll wins the contest. I think it was $1,000 to the winner. So I don't know what the prize was, but I played every game for shits and giggles. Um, so you know, when I'm not doing anything horse racing wise on my off days, or even on my off time to prepare for that Saturday show, something's wrong. So none of that happened. But I did go back to work on Sunday, and it's awkward. You're off Friday and Saturday, but dude, why you off? Why are you calling out sick Friday and Saturday and not Sunday? Well, part of it is Sunday is time and a half, and second is, what am I going to do on Sunday? If I'm perfectly fine and I'm missing work, I'm going to be sitting here bored as hell, proving my point to everybody that when I'm bored and I'm not doing a damn thing and I'm not sleeping, that's the me that I hate the most. So I went back to work. Wasn't too bad of a day, thankfully, and got the day done. Um, and also, so I wrote the article for Sunday on Saturday night because I knew I was going to be working. Uh, you know, welcome back, blah blah blah. When I logged in, and then I got a crazy idea. And if you follow me on Instagram at Joe Quills, I posted a reel about 5:30, right about the time I was finishing up my break, and I was like, "Well, let me promote some of the things on there. Let me promote Bleacher Brothers. Let me promote Quills Picks Winners. Let me promote a couple of different things." Um, so I ended up, and this goes back to one of the podcasts I listened to, the Jason Beam Horse Racing podcast, and some people will be saying, "Joe, it's almost August. Why are you listening to a April episode?" And part of the reason why I do is exactly why I got the idea for today's show, for yesterday's reel. So I'm sitting there, and I'm listening to the show, and Jason Beam is interviewing Anthony Stabile, and he's the new track announcer of Finger Lakes up in New York. And one of the things that Anthony Stabile mentioned was Finger Lakes Racetrack has free programs on their website. So I'm like, hey, if it's free, it's for me. It's kind of like me when I'm at Target where everything's behind glass. I say when things are behind glass, if it's behind the glass, you can kiss my ass. Well, I'm rhyming like Jesse Jackson. Uh, you know, if it's free, it's for me. And I downloaded that program today. Last night, I was trying to figure out what race. I'm like, all right, let's go with the sixth race. And I was like, let me go. But before we do this, let me tease a little bit, try to get a couple of people interested. Who knows? Maybe you get a couple more clicks that to the article that I post that don't normally get it, because I post everything on uh, on uh, on X, on my personal Facebook for my friends. I post it on my friend SJ's Discord. I've been starting to post on Kyle King's Discord. Kyle King is a good friend of mine, fellow streamer. I should say an elite streamer. He's also a morning DJ in Clarksville, Tennessee now. Um, he goes, Joe, you can put your articles in the creative corner. I'm like, yeah. By the time I get to by the time I get to Discord, it's like, yeah, why am I on Discord again? So I posted the articles on there, and um, the Instagram post I had, the reel, was typical me, and I'm showing that I am back to normal. I am feeling good, and even though work wasn't that bad yesterday. Today was the problem with everybody acting all crazy because of the first work day after the full moon. But I said, Joe from Bleacher Brothers, blah blah blah, and just to let you know, if you check out BleacherBrothers.com, I may be giving you the finger. but not that finger. So, you know, when you say the finger, you think of this, where you're giving somebody one of those. And for those that are going to be listening on the audio side, if I turn this into an audio file, I gave them the middle finger. So, so everybody's saying, "Giving the finger, huh?" And it's kind of like Howard Stern. If you watch the movie Private Parts, you know, if all these people hate Howard Stern, why do they listen? And it's because they want to hear what he has to say next. They may not agree with what he says or his modus operandi or anything like that, but you know what is he going to say next? So I thought, interesting. Let's play around a little bit, and I don't get to see the analytics of who who actually reads the articles and things like that. That's all up to AJ. And personally, I even said here when I was talking about my podcast, especially when I was streaming and podcasting under my old name, the Philly Guy Speaks. The one thing I said to you guys is I'm not worried about numbers on that podcast when I upload the audio. I'm more worried about where the hits are coming from. And that's what I want to see. I want to see like the repeated hits, but I also want to see the new hits, and I want to see if those new hits repeat because you could tell me that I have 105 hits, but it may be the same two, three, four people 25 times. I'm making things up, but you get the idea. So I thought, let me promote this a little bit. And at least with Instagram, I could see who's looking at my reel when I put it into an Insta story. So I just did it for laughs, and I posted it, and I did give you the finger, which if you found out at 11 o'clock ish, 11 o'clock on the website, about 11:15, 11:30 ish when I linked you up on my personal X at Joe Quills. I did give you the finger. The racetrack's called Finger Lakes in upstate New York in Farmingdale, New York, and I did pick the winner today. So congrats to me. Even though I was not expecting my horse to get bet down from 6-1 morning line all the way down to 4-5, but but the thing is, when the morning line favorite gets scratched, something like that's going to happen, and and I have explanation why in the text. If you just read the text about the one horse, um, you know, I said 29% trainer, blah blah blah, this that and the other thing, and even though I did pick the favorite, the six. I will try to get an alternate pick out for you as quickly as I can. And thankfully, because I saw the scratch early enough, I said, uh, six is out, go with the one. So I still count it as a win. And I think that's like 7 or 8 wins this month. And I do plan on catching up on my stats this week and all kinds of stuff. So that's what happened. Had emergency root canal and, you know, had to protect my ass, protect my little nest egg for when I leave my job at my company, whenever that is. You know, got to protect that stuff. So since I did protect myself, I do have, you know, and the one thing is with something like this, which I do as a way to relax after a long day of work, it's all for fun, and I don't do this. I take it seriously, but I'm not like super serious about it, like some people are. You know, Uh, but it's fun and it's a way for me to wind down after a stressful day and talk about the thing that I love talking about most, uh, which is sports. And I occasionally steer off into different things, but hey, it is what it is, and I'm glad that everybody's watching tonight wherever you are around the world, and that's a great thing about the internet. Um, so, um, you know what? I'm gonna break away from my no, what? I'm going to keep it till the end because I do have a little bit of a surprise. It's not that big of a surprise, but um, it is something that I do want to mention as well. but I'll get to that in a little bit. So I think I've caught up on everything, and just follow me on X at Joe Quills. For those that are watching on Twitch and YouTube, and you know, especially when I have a horse racing article where I have to give you an alternate pick, I will try to give that to you as soon as possible on there. So now I yesterday while I was working, when I went back to work, um, if my dad was still alive and if he was watching on the couch or on the rocker directly behind me, he probably would have been saying, "Why are you watching this?" And I will answer that question without telling you what it is. And I would have said, I need something on the TV to keep me occupied between calls. So, and as you can tell on the screen, I was watching the Brickyard 400 from Indianapolis or Speedway, Indiana, from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So, you know, I have um, zero rooting interest in any of the drivers. It's just a bunch of cars going around the track. And a lot of times, you know, some people say, well, that's horse racing too, but in a way, it's not because you have a jockey on the back. You can watch a jockey get trampled, God forbid. You know, have a jockey go flying. You know, all kinds of crazy stuff could happen. Um, but I was watching, and I had it on because it was kind of it was kind of because of the news that broke yesterday about Joe Biden. And I'm not going to talk about Joe Biden. I thought about giving um an outsider's view of it but in a way I'd be breaking my rule about not talking about politics, but I would also be, you know, and the number one reason why I don't talk about politics is you lean to the right, the left will get uh everybody on the left will get pissed off at you, especially this year with the presidency on the line. And if you piss somebody on the left hand side, then the right's going to get pissed off. So, what's the best way to make sure you piss off the least amount of people? Just don't talk about politics. And if you do talk about politics, make sure it's not something that can be found on the internet. So, um, and I bring up Biden because this was related to the decision by NBC. They carried the Brickyard 400, and I'm sitting here, and they started on time. The weather was fine, everything like that. But there was a big crash near the end, and they were in their overtime section of the race because they couldn't complete the race within the 160 laps. Okay, because you got to give an attempt so these drivers can have their chance to actually go over the finish line to winner. But that's way over my pay grade because I'm not really a NASCAR fan, but I do like I like to have something on the TV, and I'm just watching these going round and round, and and me, I'm watching for the crashes, especially a place like Indy Motor Speedway. So I'm watching TV while I'm working, and mind you, it's not that busy on Sunday, especially that time of the day. So I'm sitting there, and little did I know, I look away and I have the volume down as well because the last thing I want these customers to think is he in a is he in a fucking bar? Is he in a sports lounge? Is he in a sports book? That's the last thing I want. I want to be able to watch my stuff. I want to be able to watch what I want to watch, but have the volume down very low where it makes it look like that we're back in the call center or still in the call center, like we never left. You know, Because one thing I said was, and even when we're in the call center, I kind of like some background noise, but working in a call center, you have that. Sometimes you may get that background noise of somebody else talking to another customer. So, that's something that I was, that's why I had the volume down. So we had some taking calls, and I'm doing other things as well because I can't do one thing at a time. I got to do four at a time, or so it seems. So, and if you saw my screen right now, you would see that I'm doing two, three things at once right now because I have the side. Uh, I had the side thing going here because I had my second screen going, second computer, second screen. And also on the main computer, I have the screen that I have, the main program that I use to stream out, which is called EVMux or EVMux. I don't know what's called. I don't know how it's pronounced. I just call it EVMux. And if I'm calling it wrong, so be it. I don't care. But I also have X in a different window on the compute underneath what I'm looking at right now because from what I know over the last however and Robbie Listell, and by the way, Robbie Listell is another Bleacher brother, and also happy birthday to him. He had a birthday either Saturday or Sunday, sometime over the weekend. So happy birthday to him. So we were doing whatever, and matter of fact, we were talking about this on the show last week or 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, because last week I couldn't get on here because uh, Elon wanted to make sure that everybody had uh, a paid account, a premium account to stream, which is the only reason why I bent over for Elon and took one for the team. So I'm sitting there, and before the problems from last week trying to get X to work, and the program said, "Hey, you got to have a premium account." Like, oh, f me. So I sat, so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to pay for it. But Robbie did say, you know, sometimes X works, sometimes it doesn't. And my good friend, chairman of the board, who's on Twitch, give him a follow as well if you're on Twitch right now. Sometimes when I sit here, I was sitting, he goes, you know what? Let me try something. Except he didn't tell me, let me try something. He sent a message in the chat and it came through, but Robbie's didn't. So who knows what's going on with X, with the EVMux platform. Um, so what I do is, as a precaution, um, I have it up in a different window, but I shrink the main thing. I just layer them, and and just to let you know, if you're watching on X and you want to comment on anything, feel free to do so. I will see it. It just may be, I don't know, because it's the first time I'm doing this under premium. It may be that I may not be able to highlight like I did earlier tonight with Bank Boy. So just want to let you guys know. So um, because I want to be as interactive as possible. I want to give you guys as much of an opportunity to participate as much as possible and as many platforms as I think I can handle, which right now is three. It may eventually be four, but probably means I got to get uh, another streaming place, but I don't know where I'm going to stream to. But anyway, so I'm sitting here, and you know how sometimes you get distracted by things. It's like, wait, what happened? Sometimes it's like when I'm sitting here watching the Phillies game. You know, I stretch, I do this, I run to the bathroom, and the next thing you know, the inning's over. It's like, wait a second, wait. And you don't think that 3 4 minutes passed by. It's almost like you blacked out, but you didn't black out. And you know, it's like, wait a second, weren't the Phillies just hitting? That sort of thing. So in this case, now because I have the volume down, I don't hear the announcers saying what I'm about to tell you happened on the NBC's coverage. Um, I'm sitting here and I'm working, volume down, and I'm kind of not paying attention as well. So I don't think that they. Well, let me change that. I do not know if they actually posted a graphic, kind of like the way I post graphic here at the start of the show to join me on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights at 9 o'clock. There are times. I mean, you are going to, a lot of times they are they are good enough where they will tell you, you know, on the TV screen, you know, tune over to this. Like for example, um, I finally got the energy up and got rid of my blistering headache I had on Saturday. The headache was residual to what I had, but not really. But it was almost like I was hungover, but I wasn't hungover because I haven't had a drink in 7 8 years. But that's personal choice. Has nothing to do with alcoholism. It's just personal choice. But I sat there, and you would have thought that I blacked out for 10 minutes, and even though it's like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, but I didn't see any graphic that said, oh, matter of fact, the printout that I have has it on here. So it says on there, you know, right there on the side there, tune into USA. I didn't see it. So I missed it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe my head was looking at the work computer because I actually had to do something for a customer. But either way, next thing you know, I see the NBC 10 news thing. I'm like, that's interesting because I knew that there was a crash. And that's why I watch NASCAR for the crashes, especially those big races. So, um, so I looked, and if my good friend Spoon is watching, thank you for reposting that alert that comes up when I start my stream. Um, I did see the alert on my phone, even though I tried not to look at the phone, especially when I had the baseball game on, because I look around and I end up watching everything. So I knew that they red flagged it, even though I didn't see the red flag either. But you can just tell that there was a red flag. I do know some basics. Red flag, everybody stops and you just park the car, and they're all parked on the front stretch, and they're cleaning up the mess that the accident had. But they red flagged for about 15, 20 minutes, and it ended up switching to USA. Now, when I thought about this, when I printed the article, it kind of made sense with the the major news that broke that Joe Biden was not going to run for a second term. He was going to drop out because of the horrific performance in the the first debate. You know, me, I act like Biden every once in a while with some of the things I say and losing thoughts and all that. But for me, it's ADHD. It's not any old age disorder that Biden has. But um, so Kyle Larson won the race, and like I said, big deal to me because I don't really have a favorite, nor do I want to have a favorite driver. Well, my last favorite driver was Dick Trickle. That was only because of the name. But uh, the finish was moved from NBC to USA. Here, I was looking for see because I didn't see that alert. and also the alert is different from different channels. I didn't um, I didn't put two and two together and look at USA as well. So, and I didn't see the graphics, so I didn't look. So, um, so the finish was moved to USA because of the breaking news that took place earlier today, quote unquote, and that was because of Biden's announcement, as I said. The race started on time, but the overtime period and subsequent 17-minute red flag delay forced the finish to be moved. Many racing fans weren't happy with the change or NBC's coverage of NASCAR in general. Now, I can't defend or bash the hell out of NBC's coverage because, one, I'm not really a NASCAR fan. And the only reason why I watched it is because I needed something to watch after the Phillies game yesterday. So, um, but, you know, like for example, Saturday, um, USA was playing South Sudan, and we know what happened there. They barely survived as a 43.5 point favorite. Um, and the reason why I say that is because we had an exact opposite situation where one event ran long, so whatever. And the one thing is with America's Day at the races, especially this time of year with it being in Saratoga, you have the opportunity of bouncing around between three different channels. You bounce around between FS1, FS2, and Fox. So regular Fox has the Saturday afternoon races, and it was supposed to be from 5 to 7. But this is different. But the difference with that was it stayed on FS1 a little bit longer on Saturday because the basketball game ran long. Because what was expected to be an 80-point blowout was a 1 point game in the final minutes. So, and God forbid you preempt LeBron James and company. I got LeBron James news as well. But this is the opposite where let's go to the late breaking news that national news will take over because now they have the opportunity because that sports window is over for the most part for network TV. So, um, so they did have that. And, you know, and I sat here and I'm like, what the hell happened? I thought the race wasn't over. Did they just say, all right? I mean, did something happen where, God forbid, and thankfully this wasn't the case. Did somebody die at the wheel like Dale Earnhardt and they just said, hey, we're not finishing this race. Fuck this. I don't know. But I didn't think that until, just saying that as an example just now. But, it's like I'm looking at the TV. I'm like, wait, 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 wait. What happened? But I didn't see that graphic. But I can understand people being pissed off, and especially when you have a liberal president. Well, he's more. I guess he's more moderate, but a Democrat in Joe Biden announcing that he's not running for a second term. You know, and and this is why I don't talk politics because you can get into the debate. Was he forced out? Was it his own doing? I mean, we're not going to go down that road, but we know what we think happened. And because of the news of a Democratic president not going for a second term, the NASCAR race, which is probably mostly conservative leaning fans, conservative leaning voters who watch NASCAR. I mean, because it is a down south sport for the most part, even though they have expanded around the country and I think they go up to Canada once. I don't know their schedule either, but and I joke around with it because, like for example, when Daytona comes up, I say, hey, let's stand up for the Redneck National Anthem. I start playing dueling banjos. So, but it was very weird. I understand why people would get upset, and you may not be a person that has cable. You might have cut that cord long ago, or you may never have had cable, or you may not stream. And I know from the Facebook groups that I'm in, and also the um, just looking randomly at um, looking randomly at X as well. I'm sure there were people that were pissed off that I would have saw my timeline. And the article that I found had all kinds of things on there, people with all kinds of comments, and I can imagine what the comments were down south in red territory as well. But um, but it just seemed weird because it was almost like it was the Heidi game, and maybe this is the Joe Biden race, you know, and you know, and Let's Go Brandon got started because of a race where a driver won a race. Everybody's saying F Joe Biden because that's shows conservative, the drunk conservatives, because I'm sure a lot of the fans that started that F Joe Biden chant were probably drunk out of their mind after uh, having relations with their sisters or whatever. Uh, but seriously, you know, I joke around with that, but with the stereotypes. But I'll tell you what, it just seemed very weird, and this may have been the equivalent of the Heidi game with the Raiders and the Jets, where they decided, well, this game's running long. F this game. Let's go to Heidi. And next thing you know, you find out on the radio an hour later and the newspaper the next day. It's like, wait a second. They left this game. The Jets were up, whatever, and Oakland won. You could have. I mean, it's a little different the situation, um, but when I really think about it, it was warranted because how often does a sitting president say, I'm not running a second term. I'm not accepting the nomination. I mean, the last time was LBJ. And we're going to talk about LBJ coming up. Not the president, but L, ELBJ, as I like to call him. But, I understand why they did it. The sports window was closed. And I'm sure those that were watching the race would say, you could wait 20 minutes or whatever. But with a red flag situation like that, you never know. You could be sitting there for an hour because there may have been something else. But, anyways, strange ending to the viewers of the Brickyard 400. Um, it is what it is. Um, so I did mention LBJ. Now, I was mentioning Lyndon Baines Johnson, but I also like to call LeBron LBJ as well, as in ELBJ, as you see on the scroll there. So I saw this today when I was watching ESPN. I think I don't, no, I didn't watch DraftKings today. And by the way, if you're a fan of DraftKings, VSIN, they got bought from uh, DraftKings, and I think the main buyer may be Brent Musburger's son or grandson because he's buying the VSIN name and everything that goes with it. So you may be seeing some programming changes on the DraftKings network, which is a online TV network. Um, but LBJ, as I like to call him, has been voted by his fellow Olympians to be Team USA's flag bearer at the opening ceremony on the River Seine on Friday in Paris. And yes, it's River Seine. Having taken French in high school, I do have a little bit of background, even though I couldn't speak a word of French other than voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir, which you don't even need French for that. You just need to pull up Lady Marmalade. And but before before we get into some of the facts of this, I will tell you right now, good for him. Whoop de doo. Um, I mean, he's been in the NBA 20 years. This is his fourth Olympics. Why not? You know, and it was and this isn't something where you just force something on. It's a vote that you have, and you know, and I don't like LeBron, but you know what? When it comes to something like this, in a way, I say who cares. In a way, I say good for him. But you know, I you know, I just find it interesting that he's going to be the first male basketball player to ever carry or to bear the flag at an Olympic ceremony, whether it be an opening or closing ceremony. I think they've all been. I think the females that I'm going to mention in a couple of minutes. I think they're opening ceremonies, but it doesn't say in this article. Um, you know, with everything that he has, and you could. And I saw somebody say on X today, is he carrying in the Chinese flag? Whatever, you know. And a lot of times, I'm just not going to engage people with stuff like that, even though I joke around with the small dick Nick stuff, and some people say, well, how, like, for example, one person goes, well, how do you know he has a small dick? I don't know, but I do know a play on words game where Nick Foles is Big Dick Nick because of everything that happened with getting that nickname. It's just a play on words, and the fact that Nick Castellanos always came up small in the postseason at the biggest moments. So, but and kind of like the play on words with LBJ. It's a little play on words, and if you don't like it, that's fine. But let's still try to keep it professional, despite the jokes and childish stuff that we'd like to do from time to time, whether it's on Bleacher Brothers or just random talk between two people. So, so he's going to be the first men's basketball player to carry the flag when the opening ceremonies take place on Friday. Um, Women's basketball player Sue Bird and Philly legend Dawn Staley previously served in the honorary role. So, the longevity is one of the things that gave gave LeBron that opportunity, in my opinion. He won gold medals in Beijing and London and a bronze in Athens. Now, the one thing I will say is, you know, is there probably anybody more decorated with records and stuff like that? Even though you could say, oh, he just has the most points in the NBA because he's played in 86 million games, whatever. But, um, you know, it's no big deal. No big deal to me. I find it an interesting choice. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to put my opinions of LeBron aside because you know what? It's interesting. And I'm sure when I watch the Olympics on Friday, and I'm sure the opening ceremony is going to be tape delayed. I haven't looked at the schedule, you know, nor am I going to look while I'm on the stream here. Um, I know it's probably going to be tape delayed, but I'm still going to be telling my jokes as I go along because you know what? Sometimes those jokes are what gets you followers. Sometimes you get the jokes, and if you're watching for the first time, I'm going to tell you right now, my jokes, you know, my opinion of my jokes are a groan is as good as a laugh because a groan means you got the joke. And of course, you'll probably think it's a dad joke, but you know, that's what this is all about, having fun in life. Just because I don't have some, even though I don't, even though we don't necessarily agree on a lot of things, you know what? Just respect each other. You know, that's what we've gotten away with in politics, and that's why I stray away from talking about anything political. And my opinion of LeBron is different from your opinion. I just think that, like for example, let's say he went to the Sixers. Would the Sixers have a chance at a championship more than what they have now? Yeah. But we would probably have 3 coaches this year because LeBron wouldn't want to play for Nick Nurse the whole year. And I'm sure he would go to um, um, whatever his name is. The name's escaping me, and that's the ADD, ADHD, not the Joe Biden syndrome. Um, Morey, Daryl Morey. Um, you know, it's not, you know, I don't want to play for Nick Nurse. You better get rid of him. That's the part that I don't want because I don't want him thinking, if he was legitimately going to look to go to another team, which we knew he wasn't going away from the Lakers, and we knew he definitely wasn't going away from the Lakers once they drafted Bronny. But I do think that, you know, he does do things behind the scenes that will piss you off. But you got to admit that he is a great basketball player, the second greatest basketball player, maybe third, because I think that we don't put Will Chamberlain up there because oh my God, he only won 2 rings. He won one in L.A., one in Philly. I'm sure he's won one. I don't like other than Michael Jordan, which I can tell you off the top of my head. Because Michael Jordan played in the era where I was most into sports and still playing for fun. You know, even though the white man disease really took over when he was starting to win, the 18 to 30 range where, you know, uh, I proved once again, time and time again, that my jump was a credit card leap of about that much, about 2 inches. Um, but you know, I can spit out. Oh, Michael Jordan, six world championships. LeBron has 4, 2 with Miami, 1 with Cleveland, 1 with LA. Right. That's exactly my point. I can spit out the Michael Jordan stuff, but a lot of stuff I'm going to forget. Um, but a lot of the stuff that I have here, you know, I'm going to, and even when I screw up, you know, I'm okay with constructive criticism, you know, but that's that little tangents for another day. So LeBron said it's an incredible honor to represent the USA on this global stage, especially a moment that can bring the whole world together. Okay. You know, was it him? Was it something that was put together? Who knows? Who cares? But at least he understands the seriousness. Riley, Riley here for the first time. Welcome aboard. She is another uh, friend of Action Labs. I watch their show on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday. Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays when it does not conflict with me. Um, and the one thing is with me using the program called EV Mux, those emotes will not show up at least when I highlight, but it does show up in the chat. So just some little differences with the way that I stream right now. But uh, oh, you missed the beginning of the show. And Riley says here, only here for a bit while I wait for the pain meds to kick in. Stupid joints. Well, first of all, I can understand that because my knees hurt, my shoulder, and my shoulder pain went away for a few days because I had a major toothache last week. And, when I miss work, and I said this at the beginning of the show, I've put enough cred into my job where if I call out sick, I am sick. And that's why I didn't stream on Thursday here for my show and on the Bleacher Brothers program for uh, my horse racing show, also eligible. I missed, you know, and also that was a big show that I planned on Saturday. But I know about pain and joints and all that stuff, and you know, you know, but I do appreciate that you did join me here tonight, and I appreciate everybody that watches, no matter what platform you are. And you know, uh, Riley's a good person, and even though I am Bleacher Brothers, I do promote good people, and um, I do promote Action Labs. We're all in this together to entertain and inform and all that. So, and I'm sure, um, I think he could still clip stuff on here. I think somebody clipped something on there, and it pops up when somebody gives me a shout out on another page, on another stream. But um, thank you, Riley. I do appreciate it. You're a great person as well. Um, but the one thing I say is, I don't care what organization or group you watch, promote, stream with, whatever. If you're good people, I'm going to promote you, whether it's a full pledged promotion or just mentioning them. You know, it is it is entertaining watching their show 3 nights a week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and I enjoy after a long day of work, like yesterday's case, or on Wednesday or Thursday, and but it's more Sunday. I agree, but I watch as often as I can. Uh, uh, fun messing with Scotty. I agree. I love messing with both of them. I like seeing. I like going blue and seeing. Will they mention this statement? And I said something very blue last night, and don't worry, I understand. Uh, Riley is on her phone right now, and don't worry about it. Um, because I know I do see people that, even some people that respond to stuff on my Facebook and wherever, it's just so many. It's just so many typos. It's like, all right. And if I'm wrong with the reply, then I'll just apologize for misunderstanding. Um, but I understand also with typing on the phone, because of the fact that, you know, I sometimes my mis my texts and everything are so messed up. It's like, where did this come from? And being the horse racing guy with Bleacher Brothers, I can tell you, even before I started doing my horse racing articles with them, uh, handicapping races for them, um, I'm sitting in, I think it was the airport in Seattle, and I'm texting one of my friends. And at least this is the case all the time with Apple. I think that Android picked this up a few years ago. I'm starting typing things up, and two things I noticed that came up on there, with which I don't even know how it got into my phone book, got into the dictionary, the Sormo, and I'm going to type that out here uh, for Riley. And I think that's how you spell the Sormo, as in the jockey. At least I think he's back. And if not, he retired, one or the other. But I don't know how that got in there. And I definitely know that this didn't get there. And this is Thistledown, which is a racetrack in Ohio. And it was back when I saw it on my phone, as I share it with everybody. When I posted that, when I'm posting something, I put THI or TH or whatever, and I see Thistledown pop up. I'm like, what the hell? But I understand, because autocorrect can be ducking crazy. I purposely say ducking because of the whole F word thing. Um, I love when my phone makes up. Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's like, where are you going with this? But um, but the one thing I'll say about LeBron, you know, as much as I don't like him, whoops, as much as I do not like LeBron, Good for him. He gets to carry the flag. And the interesting thing that I saw here was, and I don't know if this is something that just the USA does. I don't know if it's something that other countries do because, it's so rare that you see, the Olympics are once every 4 years, obviously. I don't know if this is something that's happened over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but they're going to announce tomorrow the female flag bearer. So they're going to have LeBron as the male flag bearer, and they're going to have a female flag bearer, which I found most interesting. So, but I thought I couldn't care less who the flag bearers are. Um, but Steph Curry nominated LeBron. Obviously, you mentioned LeBron; he's going to get the votes if it was a full vote or whatever. But he got nominated. He got the honor. Good for him. I mean, I bash LeBron all the time, as you'll be seeing it on the scroll here for the next couple of hours for those that are watching from the beginning. But I'm not going to bash something like that because I'm not going to lie. I understand what he's done in the NBA, over 40,000 points, 4 world championships, all the different things that he's done over his career, and also being able to still play at age 39, where he came into the league at 18. So if you think about it, he's got the body of a 45, 46, 47 year old because, all those playoff games he's basically played 2, 3, 4, 5 additional seasons, just counting all the playoff games as well. So, but the fact that he's been able to play for so many years, it's a testament um, to his fitness, to science, and everything like that. You know, Good for him. And I had no problem with the pick. And I mean, unless I knew that somebody really had a questionable past, and I don't know the Olympic roster from basketball all the way to team skeet shooting or break dancing. I don't know everybody from everything, and nor do I expect anybody to do it. But if somebody has a checkered past, I'd be saying, well, did this guy? I would probably say that, but um, it would definitely be something that I would be really questioning. But even though I don't like the guy, I still have no problem with him carrying the flag, and that's the moral of the story here. Now, the Olympics in 4 years are going to be in LA, and I believe what's going to happen is when baseball comes back in 2028, it's going to be at Dodger Stadium. Now, currently, with the team that inhabits that stadium, obviously the LA Dodgers, they made a shocking move today, at least to me. But it makes sense. But I'm interested in seeing what happens here because James Paxton, the left-handed pitcher, the 35-year-old, he was on a 1-year deal with the Dodgers. He got designated for assignment today, despite being 8-2 this year. And there's still some things that will tell you, oh, this may be why. And you may say it's analytics. You just may say he's a luxury that they have to give up. But they ended up uh, designating him for assignment, and with the fact that it is the 22nd, as it says on the bottom of the screen here, even though I'm looking at the clock on my toolbar here on my computer, um, in a way, it's a shocking move, but in a way, when you think about it, the Dodgers have so much depth and so many people on the disabled list right now that they had to make moves, and moves that would be eye popping, like an 8-2 pitcher, 8-2 with a 4.22 ERA, getting designated for assignment because of having to fill a roster spot. And I'm interested in seeing what happens here because, you know, in some regards, one of those fringe teams that are like around 500. I mean, like for example, a good team just in terms of pitching that may be good, maybe Pittsburgh. And I'm just saying that only because the Phillies were in Pittsburgh this weekend, and I'm joking around about the poop games because you would have the Phillies logo and the zero, and then with the Phillies graphics on NBC Sports Philadelphia, you would have the Phillies P, the zero in the Phillies colors, and then you would have the second zero at the start of the game, and the Pittsburgh Pirates P in their colors on the other half. So, and I know that Devil Doc and the Reckoning. Uh, Actually, it's Reckoning, but I just said the Reckoning, kind of like you talk about the Pearl Jam, even though it's Pearl Jam. You do have all different things where, um, you know, I mean, I think he said more bullpen help, but maybe if you bring in James Paxton, that may be a guy who would benefit Pittsburgh just because I've always said, hey, they got the young talent. You just need somebody who's been through the wars. Especially, I mean, even though James Paxton, I don't think he's had much in terms of pitching in the postseason, but I would bring him in solely on the fact that he's been through the wars of Major League Baseball in general and teaching these young kids how to win, teaching these young pitchers things, a lot of the signings that Pittsburgh has had over the last couple of years, whether it be Andrew McCutchen, when they brought in Aroldis Chapman, bringing in Carlos Santana for half a year. And there was a couple other moves as well that I don't know off the top of my head. Point is, you're bringing in role players who have tons of MLB experience. They're probably taking pay cuts. McCutchen went back because he started his career in Pittsburgh. What better way to finish off your career is finishing off with the same team and also giving expert leadership, especially being in a couple of playoffs away from Pittsburgh after being in Pittsburgh for 2 of the years that they were in the playoffs. Um, I think that in a playoff run, you know, you claim them, but you do have that trade option as well. So, you could claim him, you can work a deal. And Pittsburgh does have a lot of, well, I don't know the status of their farm system, but I would think that they do have some young talent down on the farm that they can trade for James Paxton if they wanted to do that. Now, it'd be interesting to see where he goes because when somebody gets designated for assignment like this is, and you had this back when you had the double trade deadline. Baseball doesn't have it anymore, so if you wanted to say, Joe, they don't do that anymore, I understand that. But you had two trade periods. You had the non-waiver deadline, which was always on July 31st, and now the single deadline waivers a day or two. I think it's the 30th this year. And then you had the waiver deadline, the waiver trade deadline, which was August 31st. And a lot of times, what you would do is, and you could try to sweep it under the rug, and the media will eventually find out. Back in the old days being a few years ago, um, you would sit there and and however they do it in Major League Baseball, and especially now with the fact that the way technology is, I'm sure it's just uh, an email alert that MLB Baseball would shoot out to all 30 teams, the general manager or whoever's running the team or doing the major transactions. They'll say, hey, James Paxton is designated for assignment. Who wants to claim him? And it goes worst to first. So um, the Chicago White Sox would have first crack, and then you just go from 1 to 30. So now, even though if you're James Paxton, you really don't want to go to the White Sox because that is a franchise that is in complete disarray. It would be interesting because, you know, now that I think of it, the Dodgers are interested in Luis Robert, who's an outfielder. So hey, you want to claim him? Okay, well let's work on this deal and let's see if we can get him traded to you guys. But you know, but you can assume the salary and everything, and it goes worst to first, and whoever has the worst record at the time of the release would get him. So let's say Chicago put a claim in, boom, he's theirs. But the one thing is, and this happened a lot, especially when you had the waiver trade period, you could have, sorry, I had to burp there, and I'm going to hold it in because, I'm going to pretend to be professional. But, you know, with the waiver period that used to be in existence, let's say the Phillies were interested in Brent Rooker, which allegedly is the case, but some an article that I posted on my actually I reposted it on X from 97.3 ESPN in South Jersey. They said that the Phillies think that they're out on him, even though they're not as out as they are with Jazz Chisholm and Tommy Pham. And I said on there, Jazz Chisholm is dog shit. The only claim to fame he has besides being a hot dog is being on MLB 23 when he did not deserve it. And Tommy Pham, I think he's a clubhouse cancer. I think he's a hothead. I think he would destroy what's going on in the Phillies locker room. So, um, but but like let's say the Phillies are interested in Brent Rooker, and the Mets, because they're in the division, even though they're not going to catch the Phillies, even though they just gave up the lead right now to Minnesota, they're down 3-2 in the fifth. You could, especially back in the old days, even though it wasn't that far away. Let's say I'm the Phillies and I definitely need an outfielder, and the Phillies are looking for an outfielder right now. So let's say they didn't get it in the initial deadline, but you still had this period in August where you, in order to trade somebody, you had to put them through waivers and they had to clear. So let's say that it's out there that I'm interested in Brent Rooker, and the Mets say, you know what, Phillies are a rival. F them. We're going to claim them. We get the rights to negotiate a deal for 48 hours. I think that's how it worked at the time. And if it didn't work, Oakland retains him, or they just say, "Fuck it, you can have him." So I could potentially see if it turns into if somebody wants to claim him, that somebody would then say, "Okay, Pirates, let's say you're Cincinnati, even though you don't have a chance of getting into the playoffs. At least I don't know the wild card standings off the top of my head. I'm not going to look it up on my computer here. You could definitely say you could use James Paxton, can't you? Well, middle finger to you. We're claiming him, and you can block another team from doing it. And a lot of times, you would block, and you would have the negotiating rights, or Oakland may just say, "We're pulling Brent Rooker. F you, Cincinnati," and that's how it used to be. But um, but the reason why Paxton got DFA'd, despite being 8-2, um, They had a full 40-man roster. They were expected to bring up. Um, they were creating room for River Ryan, not the River Thames, but River Ryan, who was expected to start the Monday opener against Giants, and I guess he did. I didn't look for it, but um, they're going to have to make another place on the roster because they're going to have to clear another spot because Clayton Kershaw is supposed to start the Thursday game, and he needs a spot on the 40-man roster because he is on the 60-man DL, and 60-man DL means that you're not counted against the 40-man roster because your injury is a long-term injury. So you may see another name disappear, or you may just see some. You may even see you may see somebody transfer from a 15 DL, 10 or 15 day DL to a 60. That may be the case as well. I don't know what they'll do, nor do I really care. But in terms of James Paxton, it's an interesting name that goes onto the waiver wire here because he did go 8-2 with in 89 and 2/3 innings, 4.43 ERA. I said 4.22 originally. I was in the ballpark, close enough. Um, you know, he gave the Dodgers everything you could ask. You know, stabilizing the rotation when everybody was getting hurt. Glasnow was hurt. He's coming back, but he counts against the 40-man cap because he only went on the 15-day DL. But but the metrics were unfavorable for those that follow analytics. 48, he walked 48 batters, which is a National League high. He only struck out 64, which ranks in the bottom 20% of the sport in expected ERA, whatever that is, and bottom 20% of the sport in expected ERA, chase percentage, and hard hit rate, among other metrics. The thing is, I'm not really an analytics guy. I need something tangible like an ERA where I can tell you that, oh, I have a 9 ERA on the season because I pitched 1 inning and I gave up 1 earned run. So 1 times 9 divided by 1 is 9. Those are the stats I look for, even though everybody pulls out the pocket protector and tells you about the hard hit rate, the expected ERA, the WAR. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Um, so, but given the overall need for starting pitching throughout the league and the short list of teams expected to trade away players before the July 30th deadline, the expectation is that the Dodgers will be able to find a trade partner for Paxton in the running days. And, he is, they got 10 days to make a decision, even though the trade deadline's only 8 days away. And, even though I printed this up through ESPN, Fanside was first with the story. So give them their props there. Um, but it was an interesting move to say the least. So, but he will be going somewhere. Now, one story I saw this morning, and it's an interesting move, and it's and something that the Braves had to do because of the fact that um, their second baseman Albies fractured his wrist in a gruesome injury, trying to on a caught stealing attempt. His wrist bent back. I'm not even going to attempt to do that stuff, but Albies is out for 8 weeks. Probably be going for the rest of the year. I think Albies is a switch hitter, Ozzy Albies. I think his first name's Ozzy. I didn't write that information down because I was worried about the other half of what I'm going to tell you here. Is Whit Merrifield, who was recently released by the Phillies 2 weeks ago, or 10 days ago on the 12th, he signed with the Braves today. And I said on a couple of different Facebook groups, I have nothing bad to say about Whit Merrifield because, some of those Facebook groups, they're saying how Whit Merrifield's horse shit. I mean, they weren't saying that exactly. They probably did say that, um, but a lot of what he did, it was just that he's used to playing every day. He turned into a utility role, and he wasn't performing for whatever reason, whether it's just old age, whatever. So a couple of times I posted an update that I had earlier today because I was actually watching. I was actually watching Off Base with the sound down, and towards the end of the show, they showed a tweet, and it was from, oh God, I don't even remember who it was, but let me find it here. And I'm making a mistake of going onto X here. Um, and once again, everybody that's on X, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Glad to be back on here uh, after I've been over to get you guys covered here, as I've been the three-headed monster, giving you guys as much opportunity to watch and listen to the show. Here it is. It's from Kevin McAlpin, and I'm actually going to share my screen. Why not? Um, this is from Kevin McAlpin on X, and let me go. Let me see if I can get this here. Add to scene. I'm still getting used to EV Maxwell after the fact, so let me get rid of myself here. There we go. And let me zoom in on this so you guys can actually read this and actually look kind of professional when I'm streaming. And that's one thing I can be real dry sense of humor as well. So they had infield practice, and the reason why he's with the Braves so quickly, other than the fact that they probably called him as soon as the severity of the injury was known yesterday. Um, Whit Merrifield is from that area of the country as well. So, and he was a fun interview on Preston Steve. I heard the interview a couple of weeks ago from March, and like I said earlier today, it's like, Joe, why are you listening to podcasts from 3 months ago? And if you were watching from the very beginning, it gave me an idea for my one Monday Quills picks winners because I decided to go away from how I normally handicap a race and take advantage of free programs from Finger Lakes Racetrack and gave you guys a winner. But anyways, from Kevin McAlpin, can't make this stuff up. Whit Merrifield was working out on the field this afternoon at Truist Park and took a ball off his finger and was currently being evaluated by the Braves staff. So I did get an update from Facebook. Um, Somebody commented to my thing, and the one thing I said here, listen, yeah, he's with the Braves, but the way I word, I'm like, hey, I don't have a bad thing to say about Whit Merrifield because, I said it to another person's post, it didn't work. I think the reason why it did not work out for him in Philadelphia is two reasons. One, the fact that he's turned from an everyday player for the most part to a utility player, and also losing playing time as the season goes on because you have an opportunity to play left field, opportunity to play one of the infield positions if somebody needs a day off, and the fact that you cannot get onto the field because you haven't been hitting all year. So Phillies did the right thing to let him go, and I don't have a problem. But the one thing I said was, well, now with him in Atlanta, we're going to see if the problem was it because he's not used to playing, not used to not playing every day, or because he's 35, 36 years old and he's maybe having a battle with Father Time. And I apologize if that Facebook alert came up. Somebody DM me and I have Facebook open for like a dumbass. But and I will get to that comment in a bit. Let me mute that. So, I ended up, so, you know, and the thing is, with the way that Phillies Facebook group is, last thing I wanted to do was start something where people are saying, "Oh, F Merrifield, he didn't do shit." I was like, "Hey, you know, let's not talk about the fact that he sucked as a Philly. Let's talk about the fact that keep it to this thing where he goes to Atlanta and, just the fact that Atlanta's been had so much bad luck with injuries this year that, Whit Merrifield doesn't even get into a game yet and already has an injury to his finger. And from what I understand, it's not a break, it's just a bruise, a contusion, a sprain, whatever, something that doesn't require a trip to the injured list. But he did get hurt, you know, in the afternoon before the game. So, um, but it's just weird that something like that would happen hours after he officially signs with the Braves. So, and I wanted to look at that as in just the dumb luck aspect, and thankfully people kept it as that. And we'll see if he does things for Atlanta, but it's just really weird that Merrifield signs with the Braves, and then before you know it, he's already, and I have it as Merrified, and that's going to annoy me now for the rest of the night because the ADD, OCD, LMNOP all will kick in. So, and that's just me just typing too fast. So there you go, updated, and nah, I can't fix the YouTube part. So those watching on YouTube, even after the fact, sorry, there's a typo in there. So that was an interesting thing I saw today. Double news. First, he signs with the Braves in that emergency scenario, and then on top of that, he gets injured in his introduction to the Braves on Truist Field, Truist Stadium, whatever they call it, Truist Park. Um, it's interesting that he got hurt uh, during a workout today, but you know, I don't have bad things to say about him. If I have bad things to say about somebody, you will know. Kind of like that jockey back in April that killed my chance at 30% wins for the month. F him. But, anyways, now, I don't think the Braves have been to Chicago again. If they have, so be it. Um, the backdrop to Wrigley Field and the neighborhood is going to look a little bit different in a little bit. And this is a story exclusively that we have our connections where we get our news stories onto the website when we don't write articles on our own. But the view beyond the outfield of Wrigley Field is going to be changing, and that's because City Council in Chicago approved a plan to replace three buildings just beyond the right field fence, or just beyond right field, with a single 5-story apartment building. So the three apartment buildings are set to be torn down. Had their rooftops view blocked by a massive scoreboard that was installed just beyond the right field wall in 2015. And the big controversy there 15 years ago, because it was more than just 2015. This was something that the the fans were the 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 Wrigleyville um, neighbors on Waveland and on Sheffield Avenue. So it's not just Addison and Clark; it's Waveland and Sheffield. So if you ever want to uh, go after a baseball fan that's not a Cubs fan, give me all four streets that complete the block around Wrigley Field. If you want to win a beer or whatever, you want to bet on that, that's a good trivia question. It's Addison on the first base side. On the third base side, it's Clark. Sheffield or Waveland is left field, I believe, and Sheffield's right field. Um, so those three apartment buildings are set to be torn down. Um, that had the rooftop views blocked by a massive scoreboard that was installed just beyond the right field wall in 2015. One of the buildings set for the wrecking ball had a sign that said Amos Catuli, Eamus Catuli, or meaning let's go Cubs in Latin. And the one thing I would like to see is if this a legitimate thing or just something, because I did have Latin in high school and I did see one of my former Latin teachers pop up on my timeline today. Uh, my one, actually, my French teacher who just retired last year, I believe, or earlier this year. No, it was last year because it was right before the end of the year. I was like, well, why didn't you stay for another month? But either way, her picture came up. It's like, hey, this is so and so, and you know, I'm like, oh, other than the gray hair, nothing much changed about her. But um, but yeah. So I'd like to see, is this a legitimate thing or is this some pig Latin thing? And hopefully I don't get, if I were to meet up with her, be like, well, is this a legitimate phrase or is this something that some person in Chicago came up with to make it look like it was Latin? But um, so uh, Alderman Bennett Lawson said, after months of hearing directly from residents and community members, I chose to support the proposed development on Sheffield Avenue. So Sheffield is right field, and um, Waveland is left field. I chose to support the development on Sheffield Avenue. I'm glad to see the development receive the full support of the City Council. So, so I don't know how long it's going to take to build this, but uh, but the alderman also says the area surrounding Wrigley Field holds so much significance for many people across our city. They understand the emotion about the project. The new 5-story development will have 29 units and 11 parking spots. The area in and around Wrigley Field has gone major renovations since 2014. Expansion of the bleachers, the famed bleachers, an expanded 30,000 square foot clubhouse for the Cubs, a plaza outside the ballpark on the left side, and a new 6-story office complex to house the team administrative offices. So I think the administrative offices are on the third base side, across the street where the McDonald's used to be. I think it's still there, but even if it's not there, I do know that that they did do that. Um, so let's see here. I did talk about that. Um, okay, the final story that I was mentioning here tonight, and and I said here, is the NBA on TNT saved? And yeah, I didn't have a good segue for it, but Turner Sports intends to continue its long-time relationship with the NBA. Warner Brothers Discovery, which is the parent company for TNT, they informed the league Monday that it will match the 1.8 billion per year offer by Amazon Prime Video. Turner had an NBA package since 1984. Wow. And games have been on TNT since the network's launch in 1988. So TNT's been around 36 years. We've reviewed the offers and matched one of them. This will allow fans to keep enjoying our unparalleled coverage, including the best live game productions in the industry and our iconic studio shows and talent, while building on our proven 40-year commitment for many more years. Our matching paperwork was submitted to the league today. We look forward to the NBA executing our new contract. So, be interesting to see what all the final say is. So it's gonna So this will begin. This new TV contract begins in 25-26 season, and you know, the one thing is because you have more money coming into the coffers of the NBA, that salary cap is going to go through the roof. You may see NBA players who are making 50, 60 million dollars now, 80, 90, 100 possibly. Who knows? It's just an estimate, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. But um, now the Board of Governors approved the league's 11-year media rights deal with Disney, NBC, and Amazon Prime Video at its meeting in Vegas last Tuesday. Um, Warner Brothers Discovery received all three contracts on Wednesday, and that started the 5-day clock for whether it wanted to match. So obviously, they decided to match the deal. Now, the new deals will begin with the 25-26 season, as I mentioned, and includes a game being aired and or streamed nationally every night of the week during the second half of the season. So, um, they're. I mean, even though you'd be like, and what channel is it on tonight? But in all actuality, the way that it appears that NBA is going to do it, it's like, okay, well, it's Monday night. It's going to be on Peacock, or as I like to call it, the Cock, because HBO Max went to Max. Peacock should go to Cock. But I really think, if you think about it, you could have a situation that I wish baseball would have where, even though baseball does have, well, we're on Roku, we're on here, we're on there, we're on Apple. But the only problem is, and this goes back to the Facebook group that I was mentioning, everybody says, I'm not getting Apple, F them. I'm not getting Roku, F them. Well, if you don't want it, especially if you're in a state where you have sportsbook gambling, shit, just go to the sportsbook. But I do have Roku on my TV. I do have Apple TV Plus because um, trying to watch some shows, but it is what it is, and I actually enjoy the Friday night games, even though I don't watch them every week, because those graphics are the best graphics in sports. They're very clean, cleaner than any other network out there. Um, but it appears that TNT would likely carry games on Thursday nights, with the other nights being streamed on Max. So I think with TNT matching Amazon's offer, they may have to switch things up a little bit with the way they have planned things. So um, now, Warner Brothers Discovery and the league were unable to reach a deal during the exclusive negotiating period, which expired in April. But they do have that power to match, which they did do. Um, Now, the plan is, according to the article I have here, NBC and Warner, well, it is Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery would alternate the conference finals. So, kind of like in baseball, where the 2023 NLCS was on TBS, 2022 was on Fox. Kind of like the way that they're doing it right now with the NBA and TNT. One year it's the East is on ESPN, the West is on TNT, and then the next year you switch it to the other way around. It's going to be alternated as well there. So, and ESPN and ABC will carry, will have the league's top package, and they'll have, um, uh, or let me change that because I misread this from what I saw here. NBC and Warner Brothers Discovery will have one of the series. So one year it'll be NBC, one year it'll be Warner Brothers Discovery. And ESPN and ABC will have a conference finals every year, as well as the NBA finals. So So ESPN is the main thing, of course, because they're ESPN. They're the mothership, and NBC and um, Warner Brothers Disney, or whether I keep saying Warner Brothers Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery will have the other. So um, now, people familiar with the negotiations told the AP that Amazon's offer included a provision to pay multiple years up front into an escrow account, which many thought would be hard to match. However, Warner Brothers Discovery told the league that it has the financial resources to be able to do that. So they they know that they want this. They do want, you know, they do, and we started the funeral for the NBA on TNT and Inside the NBA, which is the best pregame and postgame show in all of the NBA, with Shaq and Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley. Now, if they do, if this is approved and they do get to join in and mess with the plans that they have, maybe Charles Barkley doesn't retire, or maybe he's just sick of everybody and just says "F you" and leaves. Any knucklehead can tell me to get out, but I will do it myself, or whatever. But Amazon provision was first reported on the Ringer on the Town podcast. The Ringer's Bill Simmons on his podcast, The Town. So, so I do appreciate everybody who came in came in here tonight. Everybody that's watching, even those that I do not see watching. Um, I do appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch, no matter how many people are watching. And I just realized I have a pop out chat here. I could have used that tonight. But anyways, but I do appreciate everybody who takes the time to watch, no matter how long or how short. Um, and even if I had 0 people watching, I know that with the way that the internet is and the way that I have everything set up, you can watch this well after the fact. And I do know that there are weeks where I have a lot of people that watch on Twitch, and sometimes I get looks here on YouTube, and sometimes I have looks here on X. I love doing this for the the fun of it, for relaxing after a long day of work, and just having fun, because that's what this is all about in life, ain't it? Just having fun. But I do appreciate each and every one of you, you know, and hopefully you'll be back with me tomorrow. Oh, by the way, I do have a thing that I do want to mention here. Um, I am going to tease this here. Um, Let me find it. Shit. And I've been cursing a lot tonight. I'm gonna try to stop that. Um, First, let me get rid of this. Um, God damn it. Hold on. Oh, it didn't do what I wanted to do. Okay, well, wait a second. Bleacher. All right, I'm gonna have to do it a different way here. 1 second. All right, so let me do this here, and I apologize. This is great podcasting and streaming, by the way. I know that, and I do apologize. And yeah, note the sarcasm there. So I do want to mention this one thing here, and this is something that popped up on my stories here, the Insta stories here, and whoops, god damn it. All right, so I'll do it like this. And this may be hard to see, and I do apologize if it is, but since I am Bleacher Brothers I guess this is public knowledge now because this did get posted um, on the Bleacher Brothers Instagram, which is Bleacher Brothers with the S on the end. Uh, X because they only allow 15 characters for the handle. You got to drop off the last S for savings. Um, I'm showing the Roblox thing here for a second here, but um, that's only because it's the story before the real story I want to show here. But just want to let you know it is coming. Stay tuned because BBSN, the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network, is coming, which means that you'll have even more options to listen and watch this show and all the shows on Bleacher Brothers. Um, I do have a meeting with, well, don't want to say a meeting, but I do have a phone call from AJ sometime this week, and you know, I'm going to be careful with everything I say, but uh, it's coming soon. BBSN, and there's going to be some things that may change on my end as well. But the one thing I will tell you is, um, the one thing I will tell you is, once BBSN does launch, that will lead us into a fourth night. Not a fortnight, FORT night, a fourth, as in 4TH. So remember I said at the beginning of the show, join me every Monday through Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays and Wednesdays will be added soon. Well, before you know it, we'll be 4 nights a week, and I will be, I think, 9 to 11. But keep best thing to do is follow me on X at Joe Quills, and you'll know my upcoming schedule as well. So, so that was something I saw right before I started here tonight. Hopefully, that is supposed to be public knowledge, and if it's not public knowledge, oops. That's why I'm always careful with everything I say and do. Part of it is the union steward in me for my job. Part of it is also the fact that you know I'm careful with everything I say so nothing gets used against me. So I'm going to call it a night. It's been 2 hours. I'll be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. right here on Twitch, on X, and at YouTube, all three at Joe Quills. And we'll do it live tomorrow once again, 9 o'clock. And I'm off from work, so who knows? Maybe I'll get myself into some trouble. Maybe even go to a racetrack. Uh, but whatever it is, have a great night, everybody. Have a great day tomorrow, and we'll catch you live here tomorrow, right here for the Joe Quill Show, part of the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Have a great night.